mixed day today than yesterday, where we saw, how many underdog teams came through, how many of the lower sort of seed teams came through. Only one of the higher seed teams won a single game yesterday. Goodbye, Nook. Fair enough. I mean, not only do you have the lessons learned from your previous time against BDS, Nook's been played very, very well. You put, Liquefac on that role, they find their way to slink away and cause problems.
Ying has been seeing quite a lot of bans throughout this tournament so far as well, and if she isn't banned, she is getting played quite a lot, so definitely finding her way into the meta again. Azami, I don't think we need to mention, unless you are a new viewer, basically tosses up some indestructible, overall bulletproof foam barricades with a knife. Sounds very difficult that way, but makes it very oppressive to play against. Alibi is the last one. That is just a gun that you're taking out of the equation right here.
I mean, it's a real
good gun.
It's a real target there, isn't it, as well?
It's a
obviously.
very good target, yes.
You know what can be done by the guns of BDS. I think it's almost like it's quite as a sign of respect. Or what is it? Is it respect or is it fear? Is the ban on Ian or Alibi?
Was it respect and fear?
Or respect? I mean, it could be both. Could be both.
Last time these two went against each other, BDS actually also banned Ying, and Liquid also banned Nook. But then the defending bans were Melusi and Valkyrie, so those have changed out to Azami.
I mean, there's been nerfs to Melusi at least.
Yes,
and I believe that came in after. So that's understandable. Melusi has pretty much dropped off the face of the earth in terms of where she was compared to where she is this tournament. And that shows how much of a speed change can affect just how a player at this sort of level likes to bring them.
I mean, that's it, right? And I think the only example we need to be giving is the amount of shoulder peaks we have been seeing throughout the event so far. The slower your operator, the least successful you're going to be with them, because you can just swing in, but swinging out is going to be the issue, and you're just going to be exposing yourself for a bit too long. And the higher amount of speed you have, the easier it will be to just check things a little bit quicker. And the HP offset doesn't, well, basically compensate for that.
Who will get off to the first round and the first start? Both times so far, it's been BDS in this showing. And, well, they're getting the drone intel on the player just outside the cash stash swing. They're tucked close. And it's Palu. There's pressure that can be applied from the window around on the opposite end. There's pressure coming from the control room hatch as well. He surely reads just how much attention is being paid to him. How do you angle this fight? There's what looks like a drop on a Valkyrie cam.
Yep.
Inside control. So they know now that there's pressure in there as well. He's just trying to stick it for as long as he can without obviously suffering the wrong end.
Wasting time, right? And as the summer gets used there to get rid of the serial laser gate, it allows a drone to pass on through and gather the information. Not quite sure if Palu's still around, and Magnet will actually take care of that first grenade. Palu falls back just a little bit again. Doesn't want to be the one to be on the bad end of the first engagement as Liquefac takes and dies by Nesk's hand.
Yeah, on the opposite end, they are gone, removed from the board, and now Shaiko's going to see if he can try and maybe lean it back. They want to put pressure onto the wall of the site itself. They have control, so they're not going to get caught from above, but with all the attention paid towards the players right on the opposite side, well, there's only so much that you can do on the lean, and they know there's somebody in split. Shaiko's sort of baiting the fight, hoping it comes against him. They're hoping for the engagement in the middle as well. There's one for Shaiko right on the back end. There's somebody holding the pillar on the far side. Bride's going to plant. The drop onto Split is hard, but he hasn't been able to win that fight. Ask is going to just bite back some ground in a post-plant situation. Alems holding off on the back end. It's the support line, but it's a 4 versus 2. They have the man advantage, so they can do things like that. Rotate around on the back. Renshiro gets one. They know he's far away. They'll just get the kid in the meantime. And Liquid, for the first time today, win the first round.
Well done by them there. They realized that plan was going down. They were trying to lean back into it, but they were making sure they could isolate those players first. And Shaiko might have gone a bit too aggressive whilst the plan was going down to provide the support. He also died and basically left Bride all alone on that site. Yes, there was some support for maintenance coming in, but you are outnumbered at that point anyway. And if you then lose another one, well, that's starting to snowball quite quickly. So Liquid played their numbers well here. They did what they needed to do. They lead in 1-0, headed towards Bunk next, right above the throne room.
Okay, now we start to get a little bit of spice in the game. Throne is obviously often seen as one of the most sort of solid places to set yourself in. The drive there to get the kit down, it's not the most uncommon for either of these teams to go up and face against. It's something where we're always going to have that brutal game. It's even what we have highlighted as a very big positive. The BDS's defenses in this series and here Liquid, they're able to lead in with the same ideals.
Frost mats to be set up as a bit of a surprise. Bit of a Valentine's gift to be given together with the Razor Blue. Don't know how well it will be received by the BDS members, but you know, it's a gift nonetheless. You cannot look a gift a horse into the mouth.
They're using the Ossa, maybe to try and buy themselves a little bit more of a direct fight against the potential cash door. You often see that as an Ossa lead in outside here where Shaiko is. They can obviously be used on control room, the push on the back end as well of Cafe if you get yourself in a comfortable position, but it's a little bit more awkward there to sort of get yourself shuffled in, get yourself set up. You abandon it pretty quickly in that scenario. Palu, he's still playing here once again. He's still holding on to intel. Shaiko's hoping that he goes for something aggressive, but Palu, I think, is just happy to sit, wait, and waste time.
Of course he will be. I mean, the time is on the favor of the defense, right? So the more he wastes and the more players he actually occupies here, the better it will be. And slowly but steadily, they're all coming around. They're actually just rotating down towards the bottom floor. Jiro looking to open up, but he's quite afraid of a potential C4 to come in. Not from his area, because Valkyrie tossed it down elsewhere, but Paulu's definitely looking to lean in.
That's it, he's tucked on the corner. He wanted to catch that drone that just didn't hit the gate. Jiro just hops the fight. Fair enough. He's still as thirsty as he was for engagements in the previous map, and he's able to lead in against Palu. Ifak, in the meantime, he's pushed up off his showers. They've been able to take and wrest some control much quicker than they were previously, and they get that opening body at the cost of a little bit of a spicy zap from an electrified window. Almost a fadeaway there onto Ifak as the Habana. They're going to get this wall opened a little bit wider, give themselves an angle as Reset's causing problems. No longer has a C4, so can't really do too much underneath. Instead, rotates his way back in. There's that Ossa set up inside control. Please no one fall for that frost mat on the left-hand side. Thank you. As that's removed, and they can sort of face-to-face against the shield extension in towards.
Very problematic if someone stepped into that. Either way, Talon Shield is starting to move up here, and the rest of BDS is looking to get in behind it. Going to be using it as a bit of a security reason to get that plan down. First is set up to cover, but the impact grenade will take it down. A lot of damage done onto Alems as well.
Does also destroy the other shield that was there as well. It was sort of a little bit in the way. They can now have the whip. The break will come across. It only takes one more impact. Ask suffers the wrong end of an impact, but resets with the rotation. Gets Bride on the back end. Tucked behind the control room now. He's suddenly causing big problems, and Nask is putting the punishment back down. They have the body advantage. And that has been a huge bit of motion here. At what point do you try and formulate the fight? Ranjiro, he gets his second for the round. Alems, he's able to get one, but now in the 3 versus 2, they've got to see if they can try and get this down to the site. 9 seconds, and Ask, he's not able to win the fight. Nesk wins his out. He's going for the rotate. They don't have the kit. It's the 1 versus 1, and he fires the right way! I was so ready to say wrong, but he proves me wrong, and BDS proves around.
He didn't even need to fire there. He wasn't being watched. He missed the shots, and of course that happens every now and then, but it is just so painful in a round like this. We had a huge flank from Resets coming up, just basically wrecking the attack, wrecking the whatever plan was there, and wasting so much time. BDS, they solved that issue, but it came back to that 1v1. And they win it out. Likafak gets the crucial shot. Whereas Nask missed them. And gets awarded the round for it. That's how you gotta see it. Gotta hit your shots to win those rounds. And now 1-1. BDS, they've just gotten that little bit of a boost in momentum, or rather morale, as they started screaming it out again. I'm kind of afraid for the monitor Ranjiro whenever they win this game. But that might be falling off the desk.
I adore the energy we're getting from this game. I think we're so lucky to have this much heat. It's even quoted by the people you know, that have been able to watch Renshiro for years and years and years at this top level at the same position we are. We obviously were once upon a time big fans of the game.
Yes.
That we're lucky enough to get to where we are. But even there, even Milos, the historian himself,
it's like, what is this Renshiro?
Is like, we have never seen Renshiro like this before. And it is just so cool. I love this game. Okay, 1 versus 1. They found themselves now onto the drug lab on the side of the swing. It's a bit of an awkward sight, but 2 Flores drones, and they've cleared so much of the problematic parts of the defense underneath both of the 2 main pressure point windows. Sometimes tricky to hold. You're going with a bit of a vertical extension, but you're not entirely locked into it. There are little sort of ways to slink your way in. It's an important jump out fight that Ask wins. Almost doesn't. Alems finds resets, but then Parley finds Renshiro. It's all over the shop, but it's turning into a bit of a liquid swing, and suddenly, I mean, there was a liquid round out of absolutely nowhere.
I don't even know how to summarize that. It's like, you know, BDS just doing their thing, and then the jump outs happen, and just aggression all over the shop.
I guess that's the other. I was going to say, you know, it's usually a hold from on top. There was a hold from the top. Yeah. Or you can just, you know.
Sometimes you don't need
get all your engagements.
Just go for it.
In the comparison of that round with the round before, where you couldn't have had the last kill be any later in the round, possibly, outside of a diffuser plant extension.
This was like a really early round.
So that round all being done, like, prep phase, is probably in the same length of time as the prep phase.
It's just to make sure, you know, that we keep the average length per round down.
Yeah, balances things out.
Balancing out, just to make sure we stay on schedule to some extent. Teams want to be going to a map 3, that's fine. We just need to make sure that we do not go over the 3 hours maximum. But yeah, that's a quick blow for BDS. They're going to be coming back from that. Well, probably by trying to find a similar kind of reply and send it to their addresses. This is going to be thrown. Managed to get a plant down here the last time BDS attacked, but they quickly fell apart right afterwards. How can you make sure you get that plant but not fall apart right away?
Team Liquid. Blow for blow, back and forth. We start a go here on our 3rd map, and you know, the reminder is whoever wins this series has a game later on today versus M&M. It's a sort of showdown. M&M, they're pretty familiar with BDS. They've generally handed them most of the times. Liquid.
Different story.
Different story, but different engagements and a different Liquid. We've had a Liquid at this event that we've sort of been missing pieces and parts of it. We got a taste of it today. How much is in the tank? And they got to win this one first. And that's on the back potentially of this half, because for the context of the last time these 2 teams met, obviously most of the game was played on BDS's defense, which they took, what was it, 5?
Yeah, 5 out of the 6 rounds, and after that they managed to get 2 attacking rounds without a reply being handed to them.
Oh, here's some pressure around on the back. Evac knows there's somebody close, and Palu just pulls away as the pressure comes on the window. He wanted to see if he can get a sneaky engagement before the cover was there, but the cover was there.
So be careful that he doesn't just get jumped in again by Renshiro, because the man is also like different kind of energy throughout this game. Phone calls are going off. It's just going to be making sure that whoever might be on a bit of a hiding spot is going to be heard, is going to be replied to. Grenade gets tossed in from below, but Palu wasn't quite there. Still will be, though, from Likafek and Renshiro, as Nask will find a response himself. It's not going to be enough to even out the number count, though.
Oh, sprays a little bit too high for the player. That sure isn't. Shaiko from underneath. He's low enough to get the take, and it's one of those rare moments where killers come through our feed with another 2 joining it. Lagonis and Nesk, both back in the site, both holding on. They're trying to see if they can get one more catch before they're in the full defense. The slip, the Iana, the jiggle in the shoulder on the door itself. They're sort of just trying to bait the intel, bait the fights, and bait the movement, but look at how the 2 remaining Liquid players are moving. They're trying to make sure that they're the first step. There's a break directly above, and the line keeps moving. The wall will fall as well. They're tucked, holding, hoping to just remove one, but they don't see them.
Spot came through, Renshiro using his hammer to open up and instantly following up as well. Lagonis is now the last man standing. Gets the first, not the second. Shaco shuts him down, and that is going to be keeping us in a back-to-back round trading kind of game. Find ourselves a 2-2 right now. BDS isolating the roamers, basically doing that with minimal casualties and then shutting down the side itself.
We couldn't have a worse reflection of how things went at the start of this series, where it was 3 rounds and 3 rounds, solid chunks and blocks. There was a lot of build together. Okay, now they're starting here. It truly does emphasize just how far we've come in this series, just how far these teams have driven themselves against each other. And again, the person that's going to find the engagement, the person that's popping off for either of these two teams has just rotated and changed. Renshiro and Nesk now two that seemingly have some of that energy, but it's movement to Shaiko, making sure they can swoop things up. Efac's generally been steady throughout the day, a little bit behind the pace at points, but he's keeping himself heads in. And at the same time, Lagonis constantly causing problems. Ask, it's just a long list of... I can't see where the give is on either of these two teams.
The thing is, we have 10 players currently in this server. They're all capable of clutching. They're all capable of gunning. They're all capable of putting numbers on the board.
Yeah,
it's just, if one doesn't do it, the other one will.
It's like an all-star match that's just been organized.
It is, but they just all happen to play on the same team.
Yeah.
And up against each other right now for a knockout match.
I guess that's why they were finalists. And
yeah, I guess that's why they were finalists, major champions, all the kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, well, can someone break the double down deadlock? Will it be BDS? Is the first able to tie 2 rounds, or can Liquid keep and at least guarantee themselves an even defensive half here? A little more room to grow after their attacks last time these two teams met weren't quite what you would want. This is a different way of putting pressure. They're trying to see if they can force Palu into a more uncomfortable situation. I mean, he's been in this corner at the start of every single round. What's the attempt here? Pre-firing, the hop-in, and the removal via the Gemini Replicator. There is the Frost Mat to stop that swing through this time, and Palu, under the intense pressure, pulls back.
This time they were going to be ready for the fact that if they want to go for another aggressive jump through, they were not going to get away with it with their lives. For now, whilst Palu has fallen back, at least some ground has been forfeited by them. Likafak is down below as well. I was going to see what he can make happen. Quickly checking on his drone to see if everything is still going to be safe. I believe it's going to be just clearing out the route. Maybe for Renshiro to come over and get some grenades in from below, or maybe he's just going to be seeing if he can catch up any of the roamers down below. Either way, BDS continuing on towards the computer room. Long angles all the way through the map here.
Oof.
That's painful.
Yeah, shot the disc. They got some attention. You can see the adaptations as well. It's not just the Frost Map, but the Claymore now at the top of the Dragon Stairs, where we had the Valkyrie rotate from the last time round.
Was there to actually shot it back then?
But it's this focus as well. They're doubling with the drones. They have some attention. They've got Efac keeping a watch down underneath as well. Shaiko, he wants to step up. They've maybe not checked Ask, who's closer, I think, than they're fully sure of. There's the reveal of the drone. There's the first fight for him. Suddenly they got to try and strike and pull him out. The Razor Bloom pops off, and they're trying to find the fight at the top. Shaiko does find Nesk. They got to recircle around Ask, who's still tucked around on the opposite end of the hard wall. He's surviving. Brede removes Lagonis. There's the pre-fire swing. Brede doubles it down. Now with one more for Shaiko, and a fat last one. BDS guaranteed the even half. Looking for one more.
Ils peuvent rien faire sans Val. Ils n'ont pas de Val, ils sont baisés. Ils ont plus de Val, ils peuvent rien faire, les gars. Allez, les gars.
With all the energy of somebody driving around Paris, which is a terrifying thing.
Oh, is that what this energy is? This is what reminds of the Arc de Triomphe, and
if you have to navigate.
Yeah, have to navigate. You just need to take. You need to take the space. That's what they're doing. They're taking the space.
Taking the space.
Just like you're driving on Arc de Triomphe.
I mean, it is just those little movements. Ask getting the first off, putting himself in that position. We've seen those plays not punished before against BDS. It's that growth, it's that response and the return. Liquid, I mean, now that they've fallen at least that round, they can still pull this back and get themselves even. They find themselves, you know, onto a site that has been a little bit more mixed, but
seconds left.
first time round was theirs, and now it's time to show that they've grown in to make it theirs again.
5 seconds remaining.
They played their numbers well the first time around. They didn't give that opportunity the second time as BDS got themselves, you know, that double entry to work with. So whoever is going to be getting that first kill is going to be crucial for the remainder of this round. Paulo again is going to get himself in this little spots around the cash room. He really likes playing here. He's been, I think he's been in this position more than he hasn't been throughout his time alive in this game so far. Either way, BDS. What are you going to do? How are you going to be approaching this? Claymores are being set up to stop any of 40 jump outs. Now, we've had jump outs happen on the opposite side of the map as well. I'm wondering if they actually, yeah, they do have a Claymore there as well. You cannot see it on your screens, but I just quickly checked on the overhead. And that's just to make sure that if someone goes up on the rappel, they will not be instantly punished for it, for example. And of course, we are finding ourselves in Throne, but a rappel or playing from the barrel's windows is still something that happens every now and then.
BDS. The calls, the approach, the opposite end, and as you said, it is a take. It happens from time to time. It's a little bit awkward. There is some pressure from above, but you might be able to swing your way in with this, a quick douse of pressure. They're inside the site. It's a tough first fight. They're doing their best to hold on the back. They just swing, and there's at least a trade out, but they have to flood their way back in. The diffuser's been recollected, and they just tuck in on the far end behind the hard wall. It's a bit awkward, but with Palu getting one more, and there's one more on the swing. Resets on the back end, a post plant. But where do you go? You're truly backs against the wall, and you're hoping the range of your guns will outplay theirs. They can't drive in too far away. Liquid has to try and form themselves with a misthrown C4 that could have defined it, but Nesk sure is making it his own resets. BDS try to drive something sneaky home at the end of the half, but all we have now is an even one.
Hesitation kills. So they're going to be saying there because they wanted to go in quick, but then they stopped in the middle of the rotation that was there for them to use. And that's what like slowed them down a bit too much there. They lost the initial kill, or at least in a trading situation. And from there on, you lose so much time. You start losing people on your way in, and then, you know, you might get that plan down. But again, the numbers advantage will be there for Team Liquid. 3-3. That means that BDS, they've gotten the amount of attacks they had the last time, +1.
+1.
Now let's see if they can win 4 defenses instead of 5. Because that will be enough to lock this out. Or if Liquid is going to be able to get more than one single attacking round.
I mean, this is it. Again, we talk reflections, we talk how these two teams have met before, how they've met in this series, and where we're at versus where we're going and where we've been. We were here first. This was the first map in the previous meeting of these two teams at the start of a very long best of 5. It's showing up here at the end of this best of 3 after the 2 maps have been bitterly fought either side, to find ourselves here on the reverse of how we led into the last one. I mean, last time, before we can quote Liquid, struggling here. BDS, last time they were 3 and 3.5 on this map. They ended up losing it, and that was against W7M.
And if I remember correctly, we actually have a history of Team Liquid beating... No, actually didn't beat the W7M on this map. They beat them on the previous map, Clubhouse.
Okay.
So that doesn't quite play out the way it would. But still.
You never know. You never know. You never truly know. You can quote everything, and at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to throw all that preparation, all that knowledge into the Aether and see who wants it more. And it will start at the top, as it often does. The control towards Cash Stash, the control on the back end. Shaiko's on a roam, and Lems is keeping a keen, Glass's assisted eye for maybe the Valkyrie underneath with the C4 to potentially cause some problems. They're hoping they just go in with the entrance here to try and force the fight against the Solus. It's like a 2-step bait. And will EFAC be rewarded? No. Couple of steps out of sync there, not quite on the right side. They were hoping it was a good idea.
Forgot that was soft for a moment.
Yeah.
So you barely see any of those C4s like that used, but no one really gets caught off by this little trick here. They're definitely going to be aware of that for the next couple of rounds. By the way, Liquid, they escaped the first 90 seconds alive, all of them. It's a rare occurrence to see because so far this game has been so explosive. People just dying so early on. And Palu on the hunt now. Knows someone is on the other side of that wall, just doesn't exactly know where. He's going to give himself some pinks to pre-fire, but he's gone off in the meantime, Shaiko. He's holding more passively now.
It's also potentially to offer some support to teammates. There's Palu to find Shaiko. He's able to take care of the fight, and EFAC gets one right back, pops himself around for the rotate as the breach comes through. He wants to support his team, and that comes with a little bit of width as Lagonis doubles it down on the break. Is that? No, the second impact does get the catch, the electricity, and the breach will stand. 50 seconds. They still have time to try and force it, but with the Thatcher on the board, with the play there, it's a little bit of a missed moment here for Liquid.
That means they need to force it now, and it seems like two might be going for splits and 1 or 2 for Dragon. Barbed wire is being punched. Likafak will take down one, and that means that suddenly there's going to be a lot of pressure suddenly from offside that they need to worry about as well. 25 seconds for Cheer. All you need to do is stand up and pick up the kill, but he stays hidden for now.
For the wub, he's waiting for it, but Bride's there, and EFAC's dancing with the last remaining Liquid player all the way in the lab on the far side. A 360 doesn't net the results. We appreciate the effort. However, Liquid, if I talked about it being impossible when we had the vice versa of this, it's the same here. BDS take their first defense and pull ahead. Continue like this.
Exactly.
If this next round falls to BDS, I'm curious if we'll see a timeout called for Liquid. Obviously, they would be in the 5-3 situation, but then they'll be leading into the third site. Maybe one that you would assume they may be able to get a bit more pressure on. It's a lot of guessing game. A lot of what do we think?
It is.
Mentality. For me, it's not a question. We've seen games today. The G2 game, when Fabian sort of called the timeout, he was entirely right to, based on the mentality of how the players were. As we've all seen, that is not the question here for these two teams. And you don't want to break that up. You don't want to be the one that accidentally pulls your team out of that when they think that they're going to take the next round, and they think that they're going to take, and obviously they can call the timeout as well. So it's that tricky dance of how much do you risk?
Yeah, you don't want to be taking them out of their good mood and, considering they're all in a flow right now.
5 seconds left.
And it is still pretty much even, like we're 3-4. This round could just as well go to Liquid because that's what we've been doing throughout the entirety of this game so far. And if you then pull them out, well, that can either hurt or help you, depending on, of course, what you have to say. It is the Solace with the shotgun.
Not the most common, but
the most common. We saw last round as well, I believe, with the final kill. It works out. The Spas is a good shotgun. It's just that the P90 is often a really good opportunity to play with as well. Early Likafak feels a little bit more confident in his ability with the secondary weapon, which of course makes a shotgun suddenly like a way better option if that is the case.
Look at this, the removal of the drones, the problem with the intel. He's maybe hoping he gets swung on from a close engagement, but well, with so many drones coming towards him, there's one just tucked on the opposite end. He's happy with the SMG, rips it a little bit out of place to make contact with the head and doesn't want to see the continued pressure. A shield is always going to be a bit of a decisive factor in that engagement.
The gun is going on the chase. The serial laser gates are going to be keeping him in place, at least for now. He's not going to be moving too far out. The info games are going to be removed as well, as he will make his way over to the different side of the map. There's an extension into initiation, a shield right in front of the rotation, and in front of that you have that serial laser gate, so that is going to be something they need to deal with. A lot of utility as well that you got to waste. But they actually just closed the rotation, so...
Get it locked in.
There you have it.
Bad timing to appear there. And, well, what do you do now? What part do you move on to next? They've suddenly got themselves a lot more safety. The breach is going to come through, but it buys cost of utility, two of them. and you got to hope that it pops out in a way that you like it, and you definitely can't just walk through it as you might have wanted to or expected to as the Monty. So you got to try and swing a fight there first. There's resets. Talking a swing and a fight, suffering just a bit, but getting his drone in towards the other side, the other idea. Placed and prepped, ready on the corner, and this will fall. Palu with the rotate round on the back end. They're just using this as an angle.
Easy that they don't want to go for a B-bomb site plan, at least not for now. Just have it there as an opportunity to catch them off when they're rotating. Bit of a pressure point as Lems takes a lot of damage. All the way from one of the repels. Oh no, Cafe. Palu about to be going into it. They know about Shaiko here.
Oh, they knew! They take it, they take the site as well. Lagonis with the shield up, but Alems with the gun back down. Palu stuck on the wrong side of a gate that he cannot walk through, but has the grenades to burn it, and there it goes. He will survive. Efac tucked on one side, waiting for them to go for the plant. Wants the bait and strike. They're forcing the fight on Renshiro, but now it's just the Monty versus the world. He drops the shield, tries to find the pistol fight. They're out of there. They're not going to sit around and see what happens because they don't have the time to pull this back round. There's the rotation, and there is another French round.
So they actually closed both rotations mid-round.
Well, let's see what they have to say about it.
Yeah.
Os caras estão fazendo um earlyzinho forte, chato, a gente perde tempo, eles voltam o bomb, recua, choque e caralho, tá ligado? Faz o early com o maluco, começa a pegar a mulher de entrada forte, mano. Todos os ataques forem
Mas... Mano, esse round, tipo, o que deu errado no final? Eu não...
Pô, o cara do Pix espetou a gente, aí tomamos no corredor também.
o cara ficou amarelo, viu? Só bate o momento, ó maluco.
Se passa, ele é bom
Polonesque pretty much even in this game so far. 6 and 7 kills, I believe they both have. But both need to step up just a little bit more to get back at BDS here. Because what happened there is they realized that a Montaigne push was coming, BDS did, and they closed off both rotations, near the top of yellow, but also near the initiation, which really brings it down to the fact that, yes, you need to be using your Selmas now, but you run out of heartbeat so quickly if you want to open up all those walls. And then you have one angle and the other one, you know, was completely open up to actually walk through. They used that, but BDS was ready for it. Monty again coming out. The Amaru is getting picked out. It's due to the fact that we are headed to lab. It's not going to be, you know, a site you usually do use. Your Garahugo.
Hey, remember the last time we were at lab? I'm going to say no, because it was over within about 20 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It was a sudden fight and explosion, and we didn't really see the site. This time with the Monty, you assume we will. The Flores drones were very good in their usage before, and you know, you hope they're going to be the same again here for Liquid. If you can get one right under the window, you do this, and it should get both. And the ADS was shot as well. You know the next visibility can come around us. He's opened up the rotate and the back end. They're going to impact that off. Doesn't get the second one, unfortunately. So they now have at least a rotate angle from that wall.
RC Roteros are very key on this site, just to take out as much utility as you possibly can early on. Alam's got himself spotted. Renshiro will be joining him as a bit of support, just to make sure that he's not going to be receiving too much pressure without there being any answer for it. Resets is looking to take the fight for him. Now, he does have 2 airjips still left in pocket. If they want, they can try and go for a flashbang, then get the airjip out and try and go for a push right behind it.
Ooh, the timing there. One goes up, one goes down. They're still burning it, but there it is. One apiece. EFAC goes down at the same time. Arc does get dropped in that engagement, but they should be able to...
Frostmat.
Oh no, it was a Frostmat. I thought he was on the shoulder. No, my mistake. That was Nesk. But the Frostmat down on the far end. It might be too far away to get the audio confirmation, but it's still a lot of time on the reset. And they're going to go for the fight. There's the entrance of the Montaigne. They're just going to keep going in a direct line towards the impression here of Renshiro. He's got to get out of there. At that point, you know, as long as you're being watched, they're watching you. They get Ask up as well on the far end, and at this point, 2 BDS bodies dead, and Liquid, after their timeout, have a good bit of control. Can they make it to the finish line of the round?
Full rotation coming through after the pickup, and after they managed to well, basically flush Renshiro out, everybody's fallen back down towards that first floor, with the exception, I believe, of just Ask, who's setting up some of those breaching charges. He is, of course, low. You don't want him to be the first one in because, well, you know, he might be taken down. That's the Monty just chasing Renshiro, and they have no clue. It's a double jump in as Reset takes down Shaiko. Somehow, Renshiro lives here for a little bit too long.
Reset pulls off the triple kill on the back end. Brede is now all that's left, but with the Monty in 30 seconds, it's not gonna be easy. They're right up on side, causing a problem. They're gonna drop the shield and get the plant down. There's a bite back instantly. 5-4, this is far from over yet.
We might have had those 2 rounds in a row for BDS, but Liquid are looking to bring this back. A good round here on Drug. Managed to isolate the players up top, send them back down, get the entry, and leverage those numbers. That's such an important skill to have as a team, leveraging your number advantage. Because too often what we've seen during the 6 Invitational so far is that a team can have a 1 or 2 man advantage and then they still throw it away. Suddenly it's a 3-on-3 and the opposite team will win it. It's something that in this particular map we haven't seen as often because both BDS and Liquid are playing their trade game quite well. Brings us to 4-5. Now it seems like the Gara hook of Amaru will be brought. There's still the opportunity to change out. Might just be to quickly go for a clear up on that top floor. Get yourself inside quickly, either on computers or the break room, and see if you can maybe get on the back of one of these defenders. There's a lot of reinforcements are coming down on the top floor, even though we're not playing there. So let's see how Resets will use it.
It's just this tricky moment right now for Liquid. They've obviously been able to take the tertiary side. I talked about we might not even see the timeout because of how the momentum of the game is going. They've taken that, and you've seen this was part of the conversation as well. Will the difference be made here if it is on the first pick, on bringing the game back to even? That could spell a bit of danger for BDS. It's in underneath. Hey, remember when we saw this almost before? The last time we were here with Doki? Well, this time it's not successful for either team, and those bullets might have just saved the life. Quick bit of pressure here on the bottom of the yellow stairs onto the wall itself. At least stop it being a rotatable breach, but it's an angle, and that's a risk, and that's a problem, and they can move off for a while and do some of the work elsewhere.
Yeah, Lamb's afraid he would be followed up upon if he stayed too long there, if he took too much time getting that shot. So, you know, better a bit messy and make sure it's no rotate than lose your life and make sure that that wall stays closed, but instantly gets opened up afterwards. Top floor is being taken now by Liquid. Resets will be getting himself into the break room in a moment. He's just waiting for all the drones to be coming through. Now knows it's going to be clear, and he's going to be making sure it truly is. C4 from below there from Leak Effect could be throwing a spanner in the works if they're not too careful. Just waiting for some information. Using the default cameras as well. That truly could be beneficial for BDS.
A lot of time here for Liquid, a lot of time for them to see if they can try and find a loose player, and EFAC maybe is considering the fact that he was gone unchecked. There's the breach on the hatch, and actually the last time we were here, remember there was a bit of a tragedy with the hard breach on the opposite end. This time, they're going with the alternates first, so the final bit will be easier to conquer. Palu, he slips his way across. He was hoping for an engagement on the back end of it, but still, time to work, time to cook, time to put the pressure down towards barrels. The flashes go out, the drones go around as well, and BDS still waiting. Still holding themselves with a little bit of that width there. Shaiko under the hatch, the drop comes out right behind him. Does he know? Onto the arcade side. There's EFAC on the swing on the door. Palu sees the first engagement, blinds on the second, but a second too late. And now in the 4 versus 5, they're going to see if they can try and crack their way in the back, but Brede gets one locked in. There's another for Brede, and Renshiro on the door for all the weighing up, measuring, and the scales. The only thing that's the result is a flawless round, and only one separates BDS from knocking out Liquid.
Rinchero's charging up his true madness here for one more round potentially. Liquid, they have won one attacking round. They were able to do that last time these two met here as well in the Jönköping finals. They need more though. They need 2 more to stay alive. But so far it's been looking unlikely. The one round that they won, they leveraged their numbers well, but in the others they instantly get either traded out or it was BDS that managed to get the entry kill. Either way, Bunk is where we'll head. And this is where we saw the initial Montaigne push to come through. That's when they closed up the rotations, when they saw that was going to be a problem. And they just isolated them. They took the fights one by one from angles they did not expect, and Liquid lost out on a round they could have won there.
BDS. Oh, it's close, and to be honest, it's not really a question of if you can close it out, because we know you have that ability. It's not a question if Liquid can bite back, because we know that they can do that just as well, but is this being the full stretch back on a map that they weren't able to take before? It's a much closer result for Liquid, and it's still not over, but it's always something that weighs. This site, to be fair, with the push of the Monty last time round, it did a bit of work, did a bit of distance. There was the rotate round on the back end. It comes down to a sort of 2 versus 1 and 1 versus 1 on the other side. What is the difference maker? What is that little bit extra?
Drones going in. Information needing to be gained, because they are a round away from being sent home. There's no time for risks anymore. You need to be 100% sure of every move you make. And of course, sometimes you will have to go for a risk. Sometimes you have to push right behind a lack of information, and maybe Liquid will find themselves in that situation in a couple of seconds. But for now, do everything you can to find the entry and make sure it does not go traded.
And they're concerned about a jump out. I mean, they punished BDS with that themselves last time round. That's not really how BDS have led on with their holds. They're sort of happy to, you know, let Liquid have what they've handed over and then make sure that they take nothing they don't want them to. Resets, he's up and in, and he's right back out. Chaiko watching on the back end, and Alems with a double. As Ask has slunk his way into Cafe, but the only thing being served is a bit of pain. Parlu, though, a quick response onto Arcade. He's the only one left, but not for long. BDS 2-0 on recent major swings versus Liquid. And unfortunately, Liquid fall away. BDS's run continues in the lower bracket. And this will not be the 2021 Cinderella story for Team Liquid. This might be the one for BDS.
Another Brazilian team being sent home by the Europeans. And it is just painful to see, because these